Hello, everybody, and welcome back to my stream on Neon District. It's Insidious, and today I'm bringing a co-host, my co-captain in my clan, Vengeance. If you want to say hi to the viewers.
Hey everybody.
Today we're
Yeah,
gonna,
so
yeah, you go
go
for it.
ahead.
I was just gonna tell them today we're gonna be bringing we're readdressing the introductory in conjunction to starting out on Neon District. We're gonna be coming to you with like a tutorial and a walkthrough on how to get started, I guess appropriately instead of bouncing back and forth between topics and subjects. We're gonna be bringing like a straightforward how to get started in Neon District.
Couldn't have said it better. So we will start you off with what you will see first and how to claim your first free character. And then we will walk you through what you can do in the game and how you will get started and how you can start actually competing with everybody.
Right, we're going to be starting slow because, again, you're just starting out. When you first create your login, your email, your password, etc., it's going to bring you to this page where you get to claim one free character. You'll just go through the prompts. It is going to tell you like a general walkthrough on what you're essentially pooling, what you're rolling for, and primarily be in the beginning. So we have six classes. We got the demon, the doctor, the genius, the ghost, the heavy, and the jack. They all roll specific cards onto them at level 1, and progressively from that, as you level them up, you'll pull an array of either cards or stats that you can utilize onto your asset. In the meantime, as your first character, we recommend together the primary choices are going to be in conjunction to the current meta or the current state of the game is going to be Doctor, Ghost, or Jack. Our highest recommendation is going to be to play it safe. Is going to be to roll a Doctor. That sounds a little off-putting because that they're the healer of the game, but in conjunction to any build you're going to be utilizing in the future, that's probably going to be your safest bet. Whereas the Ghost and the Jack are going to be honed or directed towards specific play styles of the game.
Yeah. Also, don't stress out about this choice too much. During the course of the game, you will get the opportunity to buy a lot of characters. So even if it doesn't matter which choice you make now, it will be okay. But starting off with a doctor, you can't really go wrong with that because it's useful in any team.
It's a safe choice. It's a safe pick. Regardless of what kind of strat, build, deck, cards you're trying to utilize in your team, that's probably going to be the safest pick because, like we were saying, Ghost and Jack, although the other two recommended choices, those two, the doctor is going to be your safest bet. And then you just follow through the prompts. It's going to tell you their base cards. You get to pick the sex between your assets. Doesn't really matter. It's just walking you through those prompts. And like I said, it's going to tell you your base stats when you pull the card. So like a demon's going to have the highest attack of 100. Doctor's going to have the highest 50 nano, which is going to be utilized towards exploits, which we'll explain later. Your genius is going to have 50 mech. The ghost stealth.
Also, don't worry about the stats yet. We will also get into the stats cards and what they actually mean and explain them for you. So stay tuned.
It's nothing to necessarily sweat while you're just beginning in the streets of Neon District. So it's going to bring you, once you finish through the prompts, it's going to bring you to this page, and from here you're just going to select the class you wish to finalize in purchasing. Don't worry too much. This is a free character, and again, you start with 300 free neon, which we're going to advise what to spend on here in the near future. Again, Docs is probably going to be your safest pick in conjunction to rolling any team, formatting any team. So we're going to continue with the prompts there. You're going to manage characters. It's going to show you your one free doctor. From this page, you're able to edit its bio. You're able to name your doctor.
You can do if you want to, but
Yeah.
for now it's not necessary.
Yeah, so we can name him
It's
leader.
totally fine to play with a basic team
Absolutely.
without names.
Update it. You can dictate the class and then I guess the race, ethnicity of your character. Your skin tone. It's just little things here and there, but it adds to what you'll be doing in game, how to utilize and upkeep your team. So back to the dashboard, as you'll see, we'll have that 300 remaining neon. There's not much you can necessarily buy with it. You can buy either juice, which is going to be used as like experience to level up your current character, but with there only being one, we ill advise against that to like top off or to finish your current team, or even run it in concurrent to a secondary team. There's two aspects to the game at the moment. There's deliveries and ambushing, which we'll get to here in a short time.
Yeah, I would say we start off with the delivery first, because that will be the first activity you most likely engage in, because that's like the starting the base tier of earning neon in the game, so that you can progress further.
Absolutely. And again, we'll get back to spending the neon here in a second. If you go through the progress tab of the game, it'll basically give you a short, in-depth walkthrough as to what you'll be doing in game. You're going to create a team, start a delivery, attempt an ambush, attempt a contract hit, buy a loot crate, level up a character, and level up gear. Although this isn't in a specific order that we'd recommend you utilize, it's going to sit there and outline the fundamentals or the basics to getting you started in the game. Building a team, you're going to want to go to the battle tab and go to team setup. Again, you get to name your unit, your team. Just name it whatever you want it to be. It can be something silly, something serious, something funny, something whatever you want it to be. And as you can see, you're only going to have the one unit to sit there and roll throughout the 4 slots. When you only have one unit, the slot isn't really going to dictate much, although you'll see when you finalized your team and you have a full team of 4, slot placement is actually it's gonna matter. It's gonna matter a lot. You'll have your lead up.
Yeah, but that's for another day. Like,
Yeah.
we can for the beginning, let's just finish on focus
Creating a
on
team.
finishing the team, and
And-
after that, once we get to the very end of this process, then we could start to worry about it. But right now, just getting started is the most important part,
Yes,
and jumping into the delivery.
the delivery and ambushes. Although we might not be able to essentially ambush somebody right off the bat because it does cost resource. We'll just get into more in depth into delivery, formatting a team, and setting up. So again, it doesn't really matter about placement, seeing how we only have the one unit. You're just gonna go ahead and save your team, and then we're gonna head over to the delivery page. And you can cross-reference your progression through the progress tab. As you can see, it's like get a free character, accept, create a new team, accept, back to delivery. Sometimes, and it's very unfortunate, this page takes a minute to essentially load the delivery and or the criminal page. It's just due to the infrastructure of the game and how congested the network is at the time. So as you can see in making this video, there's quite a bit of people online right now, and it's flooding the blockchain, and it's not able to like finalize your transactions or your activities on what you're doing. So unfortunately, patience is the key. I mean, we're patiently waiting a current update in conjunction to the game. So with that being said, this game is going to take not necessarily a lot, but some patience in conjunction to getting you started. And I honestly think I was misreading that wrong. You'll select your team and you'll proceed through with your deliveries. Do you want to talk to them about the different tiers of deliveries?
Yeah, of course. First, maybe the deliveries are a kind of passive job you take on with your team, and during that job they earn neon for delivering pizza. That's literally what the the delivery right now is, and the activity. So that's a strictly time-based activity. So if you select your team, it will be sent onto a shift. A shift lasts between 6 to 10 hours, and there will be fixed intervals where you get a bit of neon. And if you also select a tier, the tier 1 and the tier 2, the tier 1 delivery will be what you most likely do in the beginning. So at first, you start off with a really simple shift where you can't get ambushed, which means that other people try to steal your pizza and in turn your neon that you earn through that shift. And if you select tier 1, then you can't get ambushed. But the earnings will be a bit lower, but that is not important because we are just trying to get started, finishing our first delivery, and that's where you will begin. After that, if you had time to improve your team or want to play a bit more actively, then you can move on to the tier 2 delivery. So you will essentially do the same. You take your team and start a new shift, this time in tier 2. And there you will also earn neon in fixed intervals, just that between those intervals you can get ambushed, and that will take a cut from your earnings from that shift. So if you lose the shift, then you will have to bank quickly, or you can actually lose more than you earned extra by running tier 2 deliveries. So for the beginning, don't worry about that. Run tier 1, get used to the game, and once you see how the deliveries work, then you can start dipping your toes into tier 2 delivery. And we have talked a lot about ambushing, so let's take a look at that now.
In conjunction with what he was saying, he's absolutely right. Tier 1 is going to be your passive source of income in conjunction to earning neon. You're only going to earn 1/3 of what you're going to sit there and acquire on tier 2, but throughout tier 2, they can steal half of what your earned income and your incoming neon is net worth is worth. So playing tier 2, unless you're active and you're able to sit there and submit the contracts on attacking teams, you're gonna essentially in the long run lose out on what you would make running it passively. So if you're looking to be a passive player, you're just getting into the game, tier 1 is going to be your safest bet. We're actually, in conjunction to learning the fundamentals of the game, we're going to set this team into tier 2, and we're going to fingers crossed that somebody actually does ambush the team, so we can walk you through the prompts in conjunction to how to retaliate or conduct retribution on being attacked. So we're going to go ahead and start our shift, and as you can see, we're delivering in the sub basement of unit zone NBA unit dash hashtag whatever and it's going to take roughly 57 minutes. After the first 5 minutes of every delivery, you can be attacked. It gives you a 5-minute grace period to sit there and bank your neon before you're eligible to be ambushed or attacked by opposing teams. So unfortunately, we're going to have to wait 5 minutes to sit there and see if anybody attacks. But as you can see, we're earning 32 neon, which is actually it's a hefty bit, earning it throughout deliveries. Because as you'll see, if you do start off on tier 1, you're only going to be able to earn 1/3 of that. So you're only looking at like 10 to 12, 10, 11, 12 neon. And you're not able to retaliate, cause retribution against attacking teams because, unfortunately, you just can't be attacked. So going on to the ambushing aspect of the game, you'll just go back to the criminal activity page. Oh, and unfortunately, we're at a break right here. We don't have any teams to conduct that. So do you want to go ahead and proceed forward with buying units? Even though it might just be one, so we can conduct an ambush team?
Yeah, so that's the important part. For actively playing this game, you will need 2 active teams, one that's doing deliveries and one that you can use for ambushing. And to buy characters, it's pretty easy. You just go to the dashboard, and there you can then get characters. It's pretty obvious, and select kind of similar like in the character process that you get at the beginning for selecting your first 3 character. You can then select which character you want to buy. I'd suggest, because we have a dog right now, we can also get another dog for our second team, because one dog is always welcome in a team. Again, healers, you can't go really wrong with one of them. And because we have the 300 neon from the beginning, we can easily afford one.
Yeah. And again, you start off with 300 neon, so you're able to buy a total of 4, including the 1 free asset. And our recommendations, as you can see, we sat there and sent the 1 unit off on deliveries, is you generally want your ambushing team to be stronger than your delivery team. So we're going to go ahead and go through the prompts and finalize building a delivery team. So we're going to go through one of each of the recommended units. I'm going to go through a doctor. Go back. Going a little ahead of myself. Go back. We're going to buy a ghost. Buy another. And then we're going to finalize with a jack. In the beginning, another asset that you do acquire freely, and you can always go to your profile button to monetize this, is you're going to start out with 5 juice, right? So if we go through the characters, you're able to level them, actually. And juice is required as basically experience to level up these units. It's +1 in conjunction to their current levels. So to take these units from level 1 to level 2, it's going to be 2 juice a pop. So with the 5, you're only going to be able to level up 2 characters, or you're going to be able to level up 1 character twice. And we're gonna diversify this. We're gonna focus on leveling up the ghost and the doctor for our ambushing team right now. So we're gonna go through the prompts on leveling that. When you do level, like I said, it's gonna cost 2 juice, 3 juice, 4 juice, 5 juice in conjunction to the level of your character. Right now, the max level is going to be 5 until further updates. So with that being said, it's a maximum of 14 juice per unit to maximize them at level 5. So you got the 2, 3, 4, 5, and add that all up. It's going to equal 14 juice per unit to level them up. And right now we're just going to diversify the juice cost between 2 units just because that's what they give you at the beginning. You'll just go through the prompts up here.
Also, it's the most bang for your buck because you have your not all eggs in one basket. But again, this is just your starting neon, and you will quickly start to earn more neon, and through that can slowly but steadily improve.
You can utilize it in a different manner as you sit there and start to acquire it throughout your play of Neon District. And so we're going to begin with the Ghost. Like I said, this is more aggro, more offensive. They do have a little bit of utility and support in conjunction to running your team. But for the sake of the video and in regards to ambushing, we're going to want a more aggro unit. And as you can see, it didn't necessarily pull the best cards. We go through them. Interact currently isn't in the game. I'm actually kind of glad that we pulled one of these. Interact isn't currently in the game. It's going to be a more PvE focused objective card. So when you have to utilize like a PvE team, interacts are actually going to have more of a play than they do currently in the idle PvP aspect of the game, where you know people are attacking your team, you're attacking their team. It's going to play out a game of cards, like a TCG, Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, Magic the Gathering. It's going to Hearthstone. It's going to play out a automated version battle play style of that in conjunction to you playing your deck relatively, then utilizing things like Interact, where you'll manually play through against a PvE encounter. So with the 3 cards being drawn, we have, like I said, we have an Interact, we have an All Stats, and then we actually have another card. We can go through the prompts of going both because you can always go back, but these are finalized onto your character. Like you won't be able to back out and cause it to reroll. These 3 are locked. It's called mid-sec. in conjunction to your
which
character.
which can also be quite nice, because if you don't know which update you should choose, and then you can jump on the Neon District Discord, and there are many people there that will gladly help you choose a card or give you advice on how to choose cards. We will also get into that a bit, but that's maybe a topic for another video, because it's a big part of this game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Also, what's quite nice is that we got a stat upgrade and a card upgrade. That's the two main determines for a character and for his strength. So essentially you can see every character as a unique deck of cards with a unique set of stats. The stats determine how hard he hits, for example, with the attack, or how hard he can be hit with defense, and also how proficient he is with using skills like tactics, nano, mech, stealth. You can see there's on the card, there's a easy exploit stealth. So if you get to roll against the character with for an exploit, then it's essentially the enemy stat gets taken for stealth, and your stealth stat gets taken. And then there's a quick little formula, which we won't get into right now because that's a little bit too deep. And they go up against each other, and if you come out on top, then you get this extra effect, which will be really strong for the future. So generally, you want to take card upgrades over stat upgrades, even though stats are important in this game, because they essentially determine everything that you do, but only passively. And it's much more important to actually do stuff actively, which is determined by the cards.
And progress exactly what he was saying. These last six, 5 stats in tactics, nano, mech, stealth, and hacking are going to dictate on whether or not you win your exploit rolls, which is basically a random generated die roll in game that concludes whether or not you win the roll on inducing this secondary stat effect. So this card alone is going to inflict defense break. Breaks are in conjunction to 20% of your opponent's values per stack, and stacks go up to 5. So you're looking at anywhere from 5 to 25%, or I'm wrong, 20 to 100% stat decrease inducing onto your opponent. They go up by 20%. I was thinking of regen and poison. Poison go up by 5%. So proceeding through the prompts, you'll sit there and get to the page, which is your current deck that you're running on your ghosts. The first 3 are going to be Stultify, then you have Just a Taste, Blur, and then Distract. Stultify is going to minus 20 attack, minus 20 defense from your target enemy for the duration of the battle at a cost of 40 ticks. Ticks determines your time spent before your next turn. So if your opponent goes and they play like a 20 tick to your 40, they're again going to get their turn before you essentially get yours. So the higher the tick, the higher the longer you're going to essentially wait before you take back your turn. So unless like the effect of a card is actually dictated or worth by the effect of the card, it's generally not necessarily good to sit there and play a 40 tick minus stats card. Like in our opinion, that's going to be a turn wasted in conjunction to playing something stronger like Just a Taste, where you're looking at 5 more ticks, which is an actual induced attack onto your unit, or your opponent's unit. You're going to induce damage, and then on top of that, you're going to inflict poison. And then if you win your exploit roll, you're also going to induce an additional stack of poison. So you're looking at an attack, 5% poison damage, and then if you win the roll, you're looking at 10%. 10% one turn.
Just
Yeah.
To add to that, poison is essentially at the end of the turn of the poisoned character, they will take a little bit of extra damage per poison stack and lose one poison stack. So it builds up to a certain point and can really chip away at the health of the inflicted character.
Yeah, by 5%, and it stacks up to 5. 5 stacks at 5%, so one turn they'll lose 25% if I add all 5 stacks, and then at the end of their turn it'll depreciate by one value. So then they'll go to 4. So on their next turn they'll look at 20%, 15, 10, etc. Unless you're able to induce more stacks of poison on them. So in conjunction to pulling this card, if you go back and you want to roll all stats, it'll just add them. You'll just verify the transaction and roll them onto your asset. But in this case, like he was saying, you generally want to sit there and gear towards more cards than you do. Like this one's 35 ticks for induced defense break. With an exploit roll of +1, so for 5 more ticks, you can actually induce 40% defense break, and we're actually going to roll that over the Stultify. Seeing how they're all going to be turn wasters, unfortunately, I'd rather take the +5 to the ticks relatively than wasting my turn giving flat values to my, mitigating flat values to my opponent. Right from this point on, I'll have 15% chance of drawing negative 20% to my enemy. And that's just one thing you have to take in effect. Between the cards of your weapon and your unit, equals a total deck of 20 cards. So every card you want to sit there and essentially view as a 5% draw or a 5% play rate as you go through it. The battles, and we'll simulate one of those as we get further into the video. But from what was like drawn, or the initial roll on this unit, we're going to go ahead and go with the defense break, add that over the Stultify, get rid of that card, because like I said, we're looking at a 20% value relatively than a flat, and then we're also playing this card at a -5 tick, so we're going to get our turn a little bit faster than we would if we were to keep the Stultify and roll over the Distract. Just a taste, I don't recommend with the current meta that you roll over those, just because of the fact that, like we were saying, it's going to be a free attack onto your opponent. It's going to induce a stack of poison.
Yeah, but just don't worry about it too much. Again, this is your first character, so there can be happy little accidents.
Yeah, there can, absolutely.
You will have plenty of new characters, even if this one doesn't turn out to be great. It's part of the game that you roll new characters from time to time to improve your build. But that's something we will get into later. For now, I'd say we finish leveling up, and then we also go with our Jack, and then we can see if we go further with the ambushing after setting up our team.
Absolutely. So we're just going to verify this transaction. So you did say Jack. Are you sure we don't want to go with the doctor, seeing how we have two?
Oh yeah, right, the dog.
Okay. Absolutely.
The dog, yeah.
I just wanted to verify. I was like, well, maybe he does have a point there. Jack's
yeah,
just...
we're half into the guide and we are already going against our own advice.
No, that's okay. That's what we're verifying through each other on where we want to dictate or play this through. We're here to essentially help you guys improve your strategies, get started here in the Neon District. And again, this, unfortunately, for those who are experienced at the game, this is just we're re-advising or readdressing my initial video in conjunction to getting started. Jack's, which isn't a bad recommendation on his end, it's just in conjunction to the video. We're going to roll a doctor primarily over the Jack, but the Jack does specialize in regeneration, which is basically the opposite of poison. It's a percentage value regeneration or regen heal at the end of your turn in conjunction to poison. So whereas poison's 5%, 10%, 15% damage to a unit, regen is a heal to that unit, and Jacks do specialize in that, so we can keep your assets, your units up a lot longer than flat value heals that you'll see us rolling through the doctor. So we're going to go ahead.
Essentially a stack of regeneration and a stack of poison cancel out each other, even though they get applied at different times. Like the regeneration gets applied before the poison.
Yeah, so you're always going to sit there and see your poison damage to the end, but I mean, essentially, regeneration does counter poison because it plays beforehand. If poison was going to be a fatality blow on your unit and your regen's high enough throughout stacks of it could essentially protect you or keep your unit up from dying that turn and allow them to play again to essentially see where it goes throughout the playthrough.
Yeah.
Right,
So let's start with our dog.
All right. And we just got our one roll. It's not too shabby. It's not the best, but it's not the worst. I'm actually glad we did pull a temporary card because now we get to go through the explanation of that. And we will advise a Wikipedia before the end of the video to where you can actually read up and brush up on your knowledge of cards played throughout the game and exactly what they play through if we don't get that through. Get that to you in the current video. So as you can see, we got
that's important.
It's very
so
important.
The wiki, just to reiterate, is really important. You can read up everything there. So even if you don't catch everything in this video, or you see a completely new thing, if you play by yourself, then you can just go to the wiki and read up on everything. And it's a really, really good resource.
To like brush up on your knowledge in conjunction to the game. As you see here, we pulled one card, which we'll probably end up rolling with, and then 2 stat upgrades. Again, like he was stating earlier in the video, cards are going to primarily be your best source in terms of rolling onto your unit relatively than stats, because we haven't got into armor and weapons yet, but armors and weapons are going to add a set stat boost relatively than you rolling that onto your character. You're just going to utilize your resources a lot better pulling actual cards and rolling them over your base cards relatively than stats. And again, that's something you can refer to the Wikipedia, or you can hit any of us up in the Discord channel to sit there and essentially see if what you're rolling or pulling onto your asset is actually worth what you're spending on them. This is a play to earn game. We want to stress that it's very slow in the current meta.
Yeah, we will go over that in the end. That's first of all, get everything shown so you know what you do in the game, and then we can show you what the play to earn part is in the end.
Right. And you're playing for that objective throughout the long run of it. So just remember that as you're going through that. And like you was saying before, these are your beginning units. So try not to necessarily stress that as you're learning, because you'll as you spend time, you'll only get better and better as you progress through the game. On a doctor, for example, we did pull this heal target for 500, and it is a temporary 3 card. The temporary is going to reference how many times you can play the card throughout your deck before it's removed from play. So you'll be able to draw and pull this card 3 times before it's removed from the remainder of the game. Looking at a 1500 max heal value over the course of the game. And the 5 cards we recommend rolling off are going to be your first 3 undos, which are slotted at 4, 5, and 6, and then the 2 sepsis. Unfortunately, because the level cap is 5 and you're only going to get 4 pulls, you will have a remainder 1, and you just want to use that in conjunction to how you're utilizing your asset. If you want it to be a very offensive or very aggro doctor, you might want to sit there and keep a sepsis over undo. If you're going for like a cleanse, healing, attributed doctor, you might want to sit there and keep an undo in conjunction to the sepsis. Right now, just for beginning purposes, I guess to keep it pretty linear, we're going to roll over an undo. We're going to get rid of 1 because you have 3 of those in conjunction to the 2 sepsis, and we just don't know throughout the remainder rolls of this doctor how they're going to dictate. So we're going to keep that availability up for him, because granted we did pull a heal this one, we might pull some offensive cards here in the future. So to keep this in line with what we could possibly do with this doctor, we're going to go ahead and play it safe and roll off one of the undos and finalize that transaction.
Let's finalize that, and then we will go on to the ambushing part.
Okay, so before we get to the ambushing, you're going to have to format that team. So you're going to go back to the battle screen, the team setup. Again, you're going to have to name your team. I'm just going to leave it blank for the time being. And then you want to utilize or set up your assets in a manner to where you basically win. You outplay your opponent, and just knowing what your cards do or the assets and how they play out throughout the course of a battle, you're going to want to put them in a particular order where basically you'll win or outplay your opponent. And going back to that, a jack again, see through code tweak, it's going to offer regen to your assets. The stat increase, it's a random stat increase, and by Kung Fu, which is a passive, it's actually an effect card which plays at the end of your turn when it draws. So it's not actually a turn you have to waste, as you can see by the 0 tick cost. It's going to manually play at the end of your turn. We're going to put that asset, we'll go with second. We might want to keep the doctor up as long as possible so he can essentially do his job, his role. So we're going to slot him in 3, and then our ghost being our most offensive class, we're going to go ahead and put him in slot 1. So he's going to deal damage. He's going to try to sit there and mitigate damage through regen, and our doctor with their flat value heals are going to sit there and essentially try to keep both units up throughout the duration of the fight.
And also, same as everywhere, don't stress too much about the positioning. You can change it at any time. You can create a new team. You can edit this team. So it's all temporary. And for the beginning, even if you are still learning, you can experiment with positioning, but don't worry about it too much now.
All right, so throughout the course of us leveling up our units, our delivery team was actually ambushed. As you can sit there and see here, the 32 value got depreciated to 16. They did run off. They did still have. Unfortunately, we're going to go through posting, so you'll just view the information. You'll open a new hit contract. It's been about 19 minutes. There's 8 hours in a contract for you to sit there and essentially post it and have somebody fulfill it. To earn your neon back. We're going to go ahead and make this make the contract public. It does allow you to sit there and cause retribution on the attacking team with your current team, but as you can see, they're a little more geared up relatively than where we are right now.
So yeah, this will be something that's quite common for the beginning. Obviously, you're just starting, and if somebody has been playing the game for longer, obviously he will have a bit more resources than you and be geared up. So you can try to ambush back, but don't expect too much for the beginning, as it's natural when you're starting out, you're at not quite at the peak of your power, and it only gets better from there.
So going on to the criminal, I actually went ahead and found the contract and fulfilled it on my actual account to sit there and essentially see if we can win back some of the neon. Through this informant page is where all the contracts are going to be posted, where people have stolen from deliveries, and where people are trying to seek retribution on earning back their assets or their neon throughout an 8-hour course. Again, the faster that you are in conjunction to posting the contracts, the better chance you do have of acquiring that neon back, and then some. The neon that you acquire is going to be half of what they've currently stolen from all deliveries. When you see when we proceed forth through the ambush, there is a see, that's what I was afraid of. There's a set cost at what it costs you to sit there and essentially ambush these teams. As you can sit there and see, it's going to cost 5 neon to attempt an ambush onto this team. 15 here. This just dictates that 2 other teams have attempted ambushing this team before you, and they failed. So it increases the cost to sit there and essentially ambush them. just so they earn more or they lose more in conjunction to how the battle matches up. The higher the cost, though, I would ill advise against those because, as you could probably figure, it's a stronger team that you're going to be attacking, especially in the beginning. In the beginning, I would look for bear or naked teams like this ADFA. It's 1 unit to your 1. So unfortunately, we don't have the neon to essentially and go forth through that, and then we're going to have to wait roughly
Also,
another 30
something
minutes.
regarding the hit contracts. In the beginning, you probably won't be able to defend yourself, but it's a great chance to jump into the Neon District Discord. You can post your hit contract address there, and maybe some of the stronger players will see it and pick it up for you so that you get your Neon back. And if you jump in there, you can say hello. There's friendly people in there.
Absolutely. We try to conduct a pretty positive community in terms of helping or assisting newer players out on their.
I mean, not just try. It's actually, at least for me, it was really positive and friendly. So don't be shy.
Yeah, absolutely. Jump in and say hi. So unfortunately, we're going to have to wait 30 minutes before we conduct enough neon to sit there and essentially attempt our ambushes. But if you were to proceed forward in doing so, like I was advising, I would just focus on teams that aren't necessarily as built up as you're going to be playing. So you have 3 units to this 1, so your chances of winning against this guy are going to be significant in conjunction to attacking either a full team or a team that's utilizing assets like armor, weapons, etc. And then another thing to help you dictate on which team to attack is always just look at the cost, the neon cost. Because like I said, the higher it is, the more teams have failed in attempts to winning against that team. So it just gives you a general estimate as to how strong essentially that team you're going to be attacking is.
Yeah, for the beginning, stick to 5 neon ambushes. That will be the best chance for you to actually win.
And bear
so
teams.
Yet now, yeah, and under-equipped teams. So if you have that down, maybe before you start your first ambushes, you try to improve your team a bit further, and there's many options how you can do it. In theory, you could try to level up your characters faster, or you can try and get more gear, like your character can wear some armor, your character also can pick up some weapons. And where do you start with that? So first of all, there's a quick little formula that you can follow to get up to a respectable level fast, and from then on it gets a bit more into the optimization aspect to actually improve, and that we will do in a different video. But for now, your first focus should be to get a weapon for each character, because as Insidious said, in the beginning you have your 10 cards from a character, and there will be 10 extra cards delegated to your weapon. But if you don't have a weapon equipped, then those cards won't exist. So you're essentially playing at half power if you don't have a weapon equipped. So that should be your first focus. And after you get a weapon for each character, and obviously each character, so a full team of 4 characters, then you start leveling your weapons. So you get more and better cards on them, and after that you level up your characters, so you again get more and better cards. And why do you level up your weapons first? It's because it's cheaper to level them up, and you get essentially more bang for your buck, which is really important in the beginning. And once you have leveled up all your characters, then you get the missing gear for each character, level up that gear, and once you have done that, then you're at a respectable level, and at that point you begin to buy more characters and more weapons, different gear to build specific builds or improve the builds you already have.
Basically to refine them. And in order to do that, you're just going to go to your dashboard, and then you got the Get Gear tab. You of course, we already visited this, the Get Characters. And then in order to level them in conjunction to what they are, juice is going to be for characters, whereas parts are going to be for weapons. Parts are a little bit more lenient. For like 500 neon, you get 25 parts, which can essentially level up 2 level 1 items to max. It's a little bit less. It's to level up 2, it's like 28 parts. You get 25 per 500 neon, where juice is a little more steep, and that's just because rolling a character is primarily guaranteed, whereas where all doctors you pull are gonna start up with the base 10 cards, same base stats, whereas your weapons are going to be randomized throughout the gear, or the Get Gear tab in the crates you acquire. Crates are going to open up at 500 neon cost per 4 items. And the 4 items can be random, anywhere from any type of weapon, any class of weapon, to any armor. So you got your head, body, arm, and legs that you can pull from. And then I want to sit there and say there's about 5 tiers, 5 classes of items or weapons that you could essentially pull from these crates as well. And that's
So you have a lot of customization options.
Yeah, to sit there and essentially utilize or format a specific play style or deck in conjunction to your team. So I think right now it would probably be the best way, best time to advise in conjunction to the Wikipedia. Let's go ahead and get that. It's Wikipedia. I will post in the details of this video, but this Wikipedia right here is going to be your bread and butter into learning essentially everything there is to know when playing Neon District. So you have your class of weapons. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I was way wrong. There's actually 9 classes of weapon and 6 classes of characters, and you can utilize these in any conjunction to each other as you see fit. It's going to go over the roles of exploits with poison, regenerate, upgrade, taunt, shield, purge, temporary, immediate, cleanse, strip, counter.
Yeah, you can read up on that on your own. Take your time for that. It's important, but don't stress it too much. You can get into it step by step. And I'd say now we can talk about the last fun bit, which is actually quite important, the blockchain integration. So that's the pay-to-earn aspect that Insidious alluded to before. So every character and every asset, like a weapon or a piece of armor, is a token on the blockchain, which you can earn through play, either through buying the character or buying loot crates, or you can buy it from other players through OpenSea, another marketplace, or you can even sell your own assets to other players. So if you are lucky and get a really good asset, then you can earn real money by playing this game.
And this is backed up on the Polygon network. So Matic doesn't necessarily play a role into the game essentially, but through Ethereum on the second-hand Matic blockchain is what the game is built on. And when you're utilizing it through OpenSea, you're going to conduct your transactions through an asset called Wrapped Ethereum. And that's just basically like Ethereum on the Polygon network.
Yeah, we hope this guide has been helpful to you. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to the community in the Discord, and see you in the district.
Absolutely. We're going to go ahead and wrap this up as our introductory. Next time, or in our next video, we're going to go ahead and conduct a tutorial on how you essentially get started on posting your assets or transferring your assets to OpenSea or Lootex or whichever secondary marketplace you want to sit there and post your assets to. As you can sit there and see, like it's requiring a 2FA, etc., etc. Like I said, that's something we'll brush up on it in our next video, and we'll try to sit there and let this team ride, or we'll just refer to our actual teams. And then we just started this profile in conjunction to helping you guys out, so you can sit there and see how to get started in Neon District. But we'll go ahead and probably reference to our actual teams, our actual accounts, on how to get started on posting onto the secondary market and actually getting you started transferring and actually playing for that play to earn aspect of the game. But in the meantime, this is Insidious and my co-captain, Vengeance.
See you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, until next time, guys, y'all have a wonderful evening and happy holidays. I just want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and hope everything goes accordingly, okay? Best of luck out there in the Neon District, and you guys have a wonderful evening. Thank you.